everybody, Dave Schmidt's ResistanceBandTraining.com coming to you today with a unique warm-up that I've been playing around with. You know, I'm always trying to tinker with warm-ups to see what works best for getting my body ready to work out. So I thought today I would show you a simple one-band warm-up that I've been using the past couple of months to get my total body flexible as well as mobile and activated all at the same time. So let me take you through it. Starting down here, we're going to go basically from toe all the way up. And so what I like to do is just kind of start taking the band, and what I do is I grasp it and give myself about 6 inches of band, hook it right here, usually right in the middle of the band, place it on the ball of my foot, tuck the other one in, and I just start working my ankle. I'm going to go through and work several pushes of those. Again, I don't have exact reps that I use for this. Now I'm going to go a little bit of E version. I just go ahead, I know my body, I know the areas that I need to work on the most, but I make sure I hit the total body, but I focus in on those areas that I know are challenging. So typically it's up and down, a little bit of E version, and then I finish up with some circles, and I'll hit both ankles with that. From there, then I'm going to go ahead and slide it right down, hook my foot up against the wall. I think it's real important that you use the wall. Notice I have the band placed on the arch of my foot. I'm just going to pull down on the loops, and I'm just going to relax, keep my breathing smooth and relaxed, and just work some simple hamstring mobilization. Again, I'm just hooking on here. If you want a little bit more tension, you can reach up, grab down a little bit more to work through that. So again, I'm going to hit both legs with that. I'm going to veer off, hit a couple of different angles, especially going across. And I'm also going to go ahead and make sure that I keep my foot pulled down, so I work a little bit of nerve tension flexibility as I go through. So I'm going to hit both sides with that. I'm also going to go ahead, while I'm doing the hamstring, I'm going to hit some hip rotation. Now this is a little bit different than what I've done in the past, but I'm just working good hip rotation, bringing that foot down towards my right shoulder, stretching out that hip. Once I finish up with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a little bit of active straight leg raise, where I'm going to keep the band holding this foot up, and I'm going to drop down, stretch that out, bring it back up. And I'm going to really work at trying to separate out and get that left hamstring mobilized, but also be able to get good separation between right leg and left leg. Obviously, you've seen this used a lot with the functional movement screen. So we're going to go ahead and work that. From there, I'm going to go ahead, hook it on. I'll hook it on this one so you can see it more effectively. I'm going to do hip flexor quad. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a red band so it's even or easier for me to do. I'm just going to plug myself in right there, get this leg up nice and high. Here's a little adaptation I put into it. So I've got a smaller band, so it's easier for me to hold with the one hand. Now I can put the other hand back here, and I can work a little bit of mid-back rotation while I'm getting a good hip flexor quad stretch. And actually, the more I rotate back, the more hip flexor quad stretch I get. So we're using basically the crook position to go ahead and really work that hip flexor quad. So hooking the hand behind the head, keeping it light, and just working it, rotating back, is another nice, easy way to go ahead and add something more into your flexibility. From there, I'm going to go ahead now, I'm going to get a little bit of hip activation training. So what I'm going to do is take the band, place it down across my hips, hook it down there, and what I'm going to do, put one leg up, knee to chest, and I'm just going to go through some hip extension work. Now I recently saw a post by Eric Christie, so I recently started adding in a little bit of abduction with the opposite leg while I'm maintaining hip extension on the opposite side. So again, just to activate the core stabilizers, but also get some good hip extension activation, I'll increase and incorporate that. The nice thing about having the band with that is that you can see right away where you need to activate and push up against, so it becomes a nice proprioceptive tool. From there, I'm going to go in and hit some trunk stabilization work. I'm just going to go ahead and put the band on the small of my back. Because it's a red band, again, I'm warming up here, so I'm going to just start knees behind my hips. I'm just going to work at doing some simple knee ups, making sure I'm really locking my trunk in. I could easily go to mountain climbers off of that if I wanted to. I could go ahead and just stabilize here and work on good control. I could go to some external rotation at the hip while I'm working on trunk stabilization. You can be a little bit imaginative with that, how you want to go ahead and get those trunk stabilizers working. From there, I'm going to go into half kneeling position and position myself right here. I'm going to take the band, wrap it around. I'm going to go ahead and just do some nice halo exercises with the band to open up and really get my shoulder girdle to start mobilizing while I'm really activating my right glute to make sure I'm getting some good hip flexor quad strengthening or stretching while I'm mobilizing through my shoulders. I'll switch sides on that. Again, you can see digging in here, nice 90-degree position. I'm just going to work at doing some very wide-based halos and really use the band because it stretches to open up my shoulder girdle and loosen up. I could also position myself here, set that glute, and do a little bit of lateral side or lateral flexion to open up that hip flexor quad, but also to get my rib cage to really open up. I typically wrap it around one hand. If you want to wrap it around the other, you can, but I find that that's a little too short, so I like either putting my hand through it and gripping it, or I just grab the end of it and then I use it to open up that whole side. From there, I'm going to go ahead. Important that I think I get hip hinging going, so I'm going to slide the band underneath my feet. And I'm just going to work a little bit of hip hinging to get my hamstrings mobilizing. But more importantly, I just think it's one of those movements that you should activate in every workout. I think it's one that we lose real easily. So I'm just going to do a little bit of hip hinging. Nothing real aggressive to open that up. Now, since I'm in this position, I'm going to activate the hips a little bit more by doing a little bit of lateral band walking and making sure I've got those lateral hips activated and mobilized as well. We're going to go through a little bit of that. From there, I'm going to go ahead, take it behind my back. I'm going to do just some simple flies. Mostly what I'm doing here is I just want to get my rotator cuff to activate. I want to get those stabilizers, or get them stabilizing and really working and moving around and loosening up. From there, I'll take it, put it in front, and I can put myself in a staggered stance. I can go into a lateral stance, but basically what I want to do is I want to work a little bit of pull aparts to make sure I get those scapular stabilizers working, keep that rib cage down, and just work at activating that scapula. From there, I'll typically go into just doing some simple movements without the band to warm my body up, typical locomotion stuff, and then I'm into my workout. So just a nice simple one band warm up. If you're interested in trying it out, go ahead. I think you'll find it's pretty efficient, pretty easy to go ahead and incorporate.